Hello. Hello.
Yes, we are live. We are
Hopefully.
live.
Do we know if we are?
Yeah, I see the
Oh,
stream.
we're there. Okay, cool. Well, thanks to whoever's shown up already, and we'll hang around a
Oh,
bit.
put your audio for the stream down.
Who I will, you will, or
No,
me?
you're it's looping.
Oh, so do I need to change the setting? Is that what you're saying?
No. I'm saying like are you watching your own stream right now?
I'm not, no.
It may just be me. Sorry, keep going.
Okay. Skills is saying it's not live. How does he know it's not live if we're not live? Now you're live. Okay, we're live. Oh, by the way, okay, so if anyone's watching this, there's of course a delay here. We're about, I think it's about 20 seconds between what we do and then what gets uploaded. So then anything you do is probably like the same way back around. So it's like a 30 or 40-second round trip lag. Right. So just everyone bear that in mind. We'll hang about a bit and see how many people show up. Do we know how many are on yet, Quiz Monkey?
Let's see. What do we have? Oh, we got 16.
Oh, that's pretty
16
good.
people in the
Okay,
chat.
that's a
If
good
you're
start.
here, leave a comment in the chat.
Yeah,
Let
yeah.
us know you're here.
Yeah, thanks everyone for showing up. What we're gonna do is just give it a couple of minutes to see if anyone else shows up, and then we can get ready and get going. But yeah, so I'm Paul, also known as Spitfire Storyboards on YouTube, of course. So we're going to be demoing the Ubisoft Shot Manager add-on for Blender. It's a really brilliant Previs hybrid camera retimer. It's got loads and loads of features. Been using it for about a year beta. Like off and on, like loads of different variations of it. The Julien who's the developer, has been sending me over that time, and I just think it's awesome. It answers a lot of questions for me. It fills in a lot of gaps that I feel like Blender had at the time, or still has even. So yeah, huge thanks to Grease Monkey for co-hosting this.
Co-host,
Yeah,
your right arm,
yeah, my wingman,
right hand man,
Maverick.
wingman.
I'll be Goose to your Maverick, right? I'll take the fall. Yeah, so thanks a lot for that, man. And you'll be monitoring the comments and things like that as we go along and bringing any up for discussion. Hello, everyone. Everyone saying hello, and my blend. Yes, rise, my fellow blend friends. Skills there. This will probably get a lot of views after uploaded. I might edit it, of course, because I'm talking prattling at the moment, waiting for people to show up. All right. I'll do an overview, right? So let's start with I'll do an overview of how things are going to go here, right? Because there's quite a lot to get through, and I've broken it down quite systematically so that it'll be easy for people to find their way through. I'm not going to like completely non-linearly blag this. So to begin with, we got the overview, and I'll talk about like generally about the add-on, the user interface, and then the tooltips, because Julien has absolutely every feature is like there's a tooltip for everything, right? So if I miss something, there's loads. It's all there. Then we're going to go into a previous demo. I've created a demo scene for this because the add-on is actually made primarily with Previs in mind. Shot coverage, camera coverage, so it makes sense to show a 3D scene because it's a lot easier to demo like things like overlapping coverage and alternative camera angles with actual 3D animation. Then I'm going to show you how to actually create the shots, how to create the cameras, how to reorder them, arrange them, stretch them, use the UI with all that jazz. Then we've got the difference between shots, play mode, and sequence timeline. So these are kind of key philosophies of the add-on. I won't start to try and describe that now. I'll describe that then. And then that will be like the first section, and we'll stop for a Q&A. Grease Monkey's going to be starring any questions as we go. So please feel free to ask questions, and Grease Monkey's going to highlight them, and then we'll stop for a quick like 5-10 minute Q&A here. We'll address anything for that section, then we'll move on right to the next section. So then we're going to be into like things like, so we've set up cameras and shots. Now we're going to look at camera takes and alternative like arrangements you can do, and multiple takes, and then even combining multiple camera takes together. It's great. Really loads and loads of features. You won't believe how dense this add-on is. It's insane, right? Yep. Sorry, are you gonna say?
No, I was gonna say, yeah. When you were showing me earlier in the previous before we went live, it's very dense. It looks so good. I'm excited to see this.
Mm-hmm. So then after that, we'll talk about, this is a quick one, converting camera binding. So if you've already got scenes that have, like we used to do with the camera binding markers, there's a button to just convert all of those into the new shot, and then you can start using the add-on with your old scenes. Then the retimer, it is so good. You wait and see. It's amazing. Then Q&A 2, just to cover those topics. Then we're going to jump into like the workflow, only briefly, right? Because I haven't got time to draw an awful lot. I'll show you the cursor snapper scene that I made before, and what I'm going to do is I'll do a little branching pathway. I'll go like, okay, I'm going to do an alt, and how would I do that with cursor snapper, and then how would I shoot it using the add-on? That will then segue into another scene that I put together, which I did using the add-on entirely. So there are storyboard features built into the add-on. Some of them work really well with our to implement and complement our 2D, 3D hybrid way of working, because that's what I'm focusing on here. I'm not much for using Blender for 2D. I'm very much about the 3D hybrid, 2D, 3D hybrid. So there's plenty of things in the add-on that can facilitate that, even though they weren't necessarily designed for it. And then I'm going to go talk about the 2D features very briefly. I'm going to show Julien's already done a video by that, so I'll show parts of that because I think he visually explains the philosophy behind that. And I'll do a quick demo, but not too long, because again, it's not how I work, so I can't demo it to its full value. Then Q&A 3, so I'll be Q&A for all the storyboarding stuff. Then we're kind of done with all the fun stuff then, really. Then we're into the sort of back-end export pipeline kind of stuff. So render options to do with like, okay, you've got your takes, how do you render them off now? And there are options to, you can render the whole thing off as a PLAYBLAST, which is an edit, like a slightly low quality edit. Or you can have, them pump off as PNG files into separated folders or separated shots and a PLAYBLAST. So it's like you can have the whole thing if you want it. Like you can have just with one button push. Project settings and stamp info, we'll get to that. Stamp info is like when you export, you can have borders top and bottom with shot name, camera lens, frame ranges, all that stuff. And then suggested folder structure. So it's all that. And then Q&A 4 will be the final wrap up, and a new challenger enters the game. So if we're lucky, and I can't promise this yet, but Julien, the developer, may well show up to this stream, and we may get him on so we can have the final Q&A with the developer.
Stay tuned.
And then we'll wrap up. All right, so let's get going with the demo then. So
before you start,
before
can you make me a mod in the chat, and then we'll go on through.
Can I make you what?
A mod in the chat. Just click my name, little arrow, and make me the mod. So in case anybody unsavory comes through. Just you just go to the right,
Start?
the little menu in the chat. Click on my name and then add me as a mod.
Grease Monkey. Oh, in the private chat between us.
Oh no, like in your YouTube chat.
I'm not on YouTube.
No problem. Go on.
Oh, I'm on. I can sign in now. Sorry, I didn't know about this. What is it?
Problem. So if you go to your own chat, and then I put a comment there, just go to my name. And I think there's a menu on the right, and then you can make me a mod for the chat. It totally slipped my mind. Thank you for bearing with us. The stream's gonna be really good, guys. I'm excited for this.
Yeah, I'm not signed in. Sorry.
No problem. We're still, if anything, we're still getting people in.
Why won't it let me get out of my account? Hold on. Oh, I can do it on you. What am I doing? I can just bring it up on you, right? Sorry about this, guys.
Oh,
YouTube.
no,
We're cutting this
no
bit
problem.
out, so
Oh yeah. We'll edit it in post, guys. This
yeah,
is
we'll
we're
fix it in
here.
post. We'll fix everything in post.
This adds authenticity.
So YouTube, just on the actual stream I go to now, right?
Yeah, if you go to your own stream in the
All right.
chat, you'll see like my name. Like I'll type hello. Put your mouse over it. There'll be a menu on the right. The three dots. Click
Right.
on it.
I've done it.
Great.
Good.
All right.
All right.
Yes. Let's go.
Let me switch the audio off on that. Okay. All right then. So back to the top then with our banners. So overview, UI, and tooltips. And you can start sharing my screen now as well, please.
All right.
All right.
Do this.
So I'll go full screen. Treat myself. Okay, so this is a sequence I put together yesterday to demo the 3D aspect of it. That's not what we're going to talk about first, though. So overview, UI, and tooltips. Okay, so I won't go full screen. Sorry. All right, so this is how the whole thing is laid out, right? So it won't look like this when you start it up. I'll start a fresh scene to show you how this stuff looks anyway, right? But the general overview is something like this. This is how I have it set up, right? So up here, over here, you have your shot, all of your shots running in order. And you have your viewport here with your camera. And down here, you got your playback timeline, which has got all of your coverage in time. And then here, you actually have this different timeline that is like the edit timeline, right? So if I bring this up here, I think this will add a little bit of clarity to that. And I'll go around this a bunch of times, right? Because this is like fundamental philosophy of the add-on. This is where you create your shots and where you manage the order in which the shots occur. Up here on this orange section here, shots order top to bottom, right? So 1, 2, 3, and you can move those up and down and everything. On the timeline here, the blue version, the shots coverage time frames. This is actually how much time each of those shots is covering of the 3D coverage that, you're pointing how long you actually, how long that shot lasts when it starts, how long it lasts when it ends. It is, if you're working linearly, if you're working straightforward, it will also be representative of the order in which those shots are occurring. But that isn't necessarily the case, as you will find out from my demo to do with overlapping coverage and ellipses. So this green sequence here, the sequence timeline, your edit, including overlaps and ellipse. So once you've got a running order, right?
Mm-hmm.
What you might find is you might have gaps in that. So there's a shots play mode here. I'll get to that in a minute. That will actually play it with all of the overlaps and the gaps included. So it'll just jump any gaps and it'll play overlaps. So on the sequence timeline, no matter what you do, right, your sequence timeline, there's a little blue thing and you can drag it back and forth, and that will always be your actual edit. So that's displayed at the bottom of the viewport. And that's, if you want to scrub at any time, no matter what you've done, you scrub and you will see your edit as it is. So the beauty of the add-on is that it's this ultra flexible previs, like camera, you can play around a lot with all these different takes on all these different cameras. But you also have this feature that is the actual edit as well. So you have this like non-edit version down the bottom, and then you have the actual edit version. And depending on how you want to view that, you might not want to view it as the edit while you're working on it. And then you think, okay, let's check the edit out. And you can then tighten it all up and everything. So you can actually get a really tight edit from the add-on if you want to. Or you can just leave it really open, because you can actually export with things like handles on the end of either any shots as well. So if you're handing over to like an editor after the fact, or if you're going to do the editing after the fact, you can have handles on shots as well. All right, so that's that. You got a question?
Oh no, yeah. I think Warwick says the blue tool is referred to in the UI as the interactive shots stack. I guess that's what that button is.
Interactive shot stack. Yeah, that's what it's called in the UI. Yeah. Warwick, by the way, is Julien. All right. So we'll see.
Nice.
We'll see what happens with that. yeah, so the tooltips then, let's show the tooltips, right? Because again, like I'm saying, this guy is thorough, right? So I bring up the shot manager. Every single feature in this, every single button, come on, what's it doing? There we go. Hover over anything. It doesn't want it. Here we go, right? Hover over anything and it will describe to you exactly what that does.
Nice. We got a
Right?
question from Nick. He says, "Are the shots scenes or collections?" I think that's a pretty good question.
Are the shots scenes or neither? The shots are cameras. That's all they are.
Okay.
This is nothing to do, right? This is a completely different philosophy to like the VSE, for instance, right? So I think the question that's feels like it's leading or coming from the direction that question is coming from is the way that, say, VSE works is that you have to for every, I guess, shots and things like that, you tend to use different scenes, right? You've saved them off, or you might have multiple scenes saved within any Blender file, and you're referencing different collections. It's none of that. This is actually like raw in Blender, like the scene you have laid out. This is camera coverage, and all this stuff is just happening raw. It's like, you know how we used to use, or I used to use at least, the camera markers to flip to your cameras, your next cameras, right? Well, that was great for like a first pass, right? Because it was really quick to do and everything. But once you get to the point where you actually want to change anything, tweak anything, reorder shots, forget about it, right? It was a complete nightmare. So you had to go to VSE, or you had to export out of Blender, and then, you know, do your editing somewhere else, right? So it has nothing to do with scenes or collections is the answer to that. It's very much just about camera coverage, camera order, camera takes. You can have, you know, entirely different camera takes, and then you can combine those takes. So it's think of it as it's very much designed as a tool for Previs. It's a Previs tool, right? So the idea with Previs, it takes a kind of a live action mentality in that you animate your scene out, or you have your action playing out in 3D, and then you shoot it, right? And you shoot it however you want it, whatever angles you can shoot it from. And that's how I work as well. I don't really like separating things out into scenes. You can still do that, of course. You know, there's nothing going to stop you breaking this up into different scenes, or even using it in conjunction with the VSE. It can, all of that can happen, right? But yeah, it's not there.
Great.
So maybe you could go. Oh, sorry, go on. Yeah.
No, and to put like a button on that, Julien says a shot is a camera plus a time range. Mainly, the other properties are just metadata. Is what Julien says.
And of course, the camera will have, you know, whatever you've associated, like, you know, if you put depth of field on it, if you've added keyframes to the camera, then all of those things, you know, it is the camera. It's a representation of the camera's existence basically on the timeline. Yeah. So if we could go full screen, if you don't mind, just so people can see the tooltips showing up nicely. So yeah, okay, tooltips everywhere basically. There we go, right? You got all these options up here. There's so many options. It's crazy. Down here on the timeline, you've got all these like really essential UIs down here on the timeline, and every single one of those has tooltips as well. And we'll go through those as they become relevant, right? So let's jump into the 3D Previs demo then.
All right.
So like I was saying, this is a scene I put together yesterday to demo this, right? Because I was saying overlapping coverage is things like overlapping coverage and doing different camera takes is a lot easier if you've got a 3D object that actually works from multiple angles. It's a little tricky to demo quickly, at least with 2D things, because 2D works to a, you know, like a 60-degree either way kind of thing, right? And then it starts to break. So we keep, I don't know if you know this, Grease Monkey, but we keep going into the other format. It keeps like automatic. I don't know if it's automatic or something.
Oh, no. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I'll play this scene a minute so you can watch it play out, and then I can talk you through it and everything, right? So, oh, hang on a minute. Sorry, don't do that. Yeah, play it from the timeline as well if you're going to use it. The frame rate is better if you play it on the timeline. So what this is doing now is I'm in shots play mode here, which means that it's going to play the action and the camera coverage as I've got them right now. I've got overlaps and and actual breaks and stuff in this, ellipses in this, right? And if you watch on the right hand side here, it's going top to bottom. Just see that camera is dropping top to bottom, so that means it's moving to the next cameras, right? But on the timeline, you can see it going across left to right. But watch this now, right? When it gets to here, when it gets to the end of this green one, it'll jump to the other green one. You see, but it's covering the same time, so that's an overlap, and we'll get into it. So it's playing all that out there, and in the top, in the viewport here, you can see what I was saying about the timeline sequencer, that it's going left to right and only left to right, right? It's playing the edit linearly, and it's including all of those overlaps and ellipses. Ellipse meaning jumping the gap, basically. So it lets like play out here. All right, so that's the sequence I put together, and let's just pause that a minute. Okay, so I've got a take here now. This is like my first take of the scene. So I've got all these shots and everything here now. Maybe I'll make some new cameras. Maybe I'll start this again, and so you can see how I actually did it, right? But let me just talk a little bit about perhaps right now, even right now. This is what I love about the add-on, right? Is I've set all these shots up, but I might decide to, well, maybe I don't need all these shots, right? Maybe I don't need this shot, so I just switch it off, right? Maybe I don't need this shot either. Maybe these will probably make a terrible edit now, right? But I'm just demonstrating the fact that I can switch any of these shots off if I want to, right? And then if I play it again, if I go back to the beginning, or I click up here, I press play, and it will just, it's going to play the edit. You won't see that there's gaps, but the shots are gone. You see? So you can immediately play with different edits, different shot orders. I can even move them up and down in the timeline, you know. So I'm like, oh, if I feel like, okay, actually this shot I want to come before the previous shot, it probably won't make any sense to do so. Then if I play it again, let me just jump to here.
Okay.
So I've switched those around now. So this is probably weird. So we go into that straight away, and then it should go. Where did I move it to? Sorry, I don't know where I actually moved that to there. But yeah, you can do that. Basically, you can, in this stack here, you can very easily move them up and down.
Yeah, right? It makes it like having it in 3 places makes it feel it's good. It's a lot of good information.
It's doing different things, right? And I'll show you the value of each of those things as we go along. And again, sorry if it's a little bit nonlinear. It's difficult because like everything is tied into everything else. So it's difficult for me to just completely focus on just that aspect. But I think I need to show you how to make some shots and things first before I go too far into that. So I'll make a new take. All right, I'll just make a brand new take. So if I go up here, click that button, and I'll add a take, and that'll be take 1. I'll go, okay. So I have no cameras in this now. So I'm going to create a new camera, right? So let's go to the viewport. Let's find out where I am. I might have to switch EV off a minute because of the stream. It's making it lag a bit. All right, I gotta find my way around now. This is always the fun bit, isn't it? There it is. Okay. All right, so there's my dude. Go back to the beginning, right? Let's shoot this different, right? Let's just shoot all this action as just one shot from here. I'm gonna play all that action out just from here. He's like a stitched together Mixamo file, so he's really janky. So just forgive that. So now I go. I forgot to mention Storyboard and Previs mode. So by default, right, there's 2 kind of modes to this. There's Previs and Storyboard mode, and by default, it's set to Previs, which is what we're doing right now. If I don't come back to this, Grease Monkey, please remind me to come back and show the feature toggles for both Storyboard and Previs mode, because they're really cool. You basically you have these 2 modes. That one is set up for working in 3D, the other is set up for working in 2D, which is the Storyboard mode. But you can customize all the features that show up in that version. So it's very customizable. The whole thing is extremely customizable. So anyway, right, I'm going to make a new shot now. So new shot to the current take, right? So it'll ask you like align camera to view, align new camera to view. And you can either choose a camera that's already existing in this thing as the template, or you can even choose cameras from other scenes. So the way this works, I'll show you where it is in the setting much later, because it'll be part of like the project settings type stuff. Is basically you can direct the add-on to a Blender file you've got that has as many cameras as you want in it, that have all of the you know, you might have different lens choices, you might have depth of field on them, you might have different clipping ranges, different aspect ratios, different you know, apertures, backs on the cameras, all that stuff. You can set them up exactly as you want in that file, and you just save them as cameras in that file, and then you just point to it from within the add-on. And then when you make a new camera, you can go, okay, well, I know that I use a certain kind of camera. I want let's go wide on this one, right? Let's go 20 mil, right? I think it's an Alexa. It's the same setting as an Alexa, I think. So align view. So we click that, and now we have that shot, right? So in the viewport now, you can see if I do switch that back on. In the viewport, there's our composition. You can actually, there's a passive parrot option linked in here, and that'll do it for the entirety of the scene, which is really useful. Now up here in the, you see these icons at the top here, right? So this camera button, this handy little camera button, is control the camera in the viewport. So if I click that off, if I don't have it off, I do this. Yeah, this is usually tucked away in view somewhere. If I click it now, I can control it. Right. So I'm gonna set it up here. Yeah, it's a nice shortcut, right? Because you don't have to go up to thing anymore. I'll shoot that there, right? And I won't bother with like depth of field or anything like that now. Now, if I just press this a minute, I'll just play it, right? Okay, so the shot's going to end there at the moment, right? Because it's only 76 ranges, 76 frames in length. If I want to extend it, there's two ways of doing that. I either just grab it like that, right? Change the shot length. So how long do I want it to be? I want it to get all the way over here. So let's go about there. And you can just grab, you can see on the, I don't know if you can see it, you should be able to. At the end of each thing, there's like a little like handle at the very end of each thing. You can drag them in and out and you can also grab this to move it in coverage, right? So if I decided I wanted to start earlier or start later, I can just drag that. I can also move the camera keyframe. So let me make a couple of camera keyframes just so I've got something to actually do. Once he starts swinging, I'll just adjust to there, and then we want to catch him there. I think we'll just end it there, right? So this should play out. Let's get that in a bit quicker. Let's go a little higher here. Okay, so that's our new shot there now. Now, because we've got the other way, sorry, to change the length of time that the shot is lasting is up here. These are really, this is kind of like the intuitive, super interactive, visual way of doing it, right? But if you want to be really accurate about it, like you're like, I absolutely want it to be like this frame here. You go up here to where you got 401, 6. That's your start and end frames of the shot. If you hold Shift and you hit that button, it clips it to that. So if I go there and I wanted to end there, if I hold Shift and I clip that, that's where it'll clip to. So it's
nice.
Yeah, it's really that's what I do when I really want to refine the shots. When I'm first doing it, I'm all about this, right? I'm just moving it around, flexing it about and everything. But when I want to get really tight, that's what I use. It also works as a way of jumping to the beginning or the end of the shot. So if you don't press Shift, right? Oh, but everyone, by the way, I don't know if you noticed, but we've got the screencast keys down there, like a professional YouTuber. And yeah, so we can jump to the beginning and the end of the thing. So anything like you, what did you do there? Just check what I'm doing on the screencast. It'll be good, right? So there you go.
Nice.
I got one shot, right? So that's that. Let's make a new one now. So let's get out of the camera. I want to just cover. What should I do? Yeah, let's get him standing up and all of his emotional stuff happening. Because the idea with the scene was basically this goblin comes running in, and he's on an adventure. He's trying to find something, but then he hears all these like spooky noises and everything. He gets a bit shook up, and then he turns around, hears these noises coming from the other room, and then he makes his way into the other room, and then he discovers the creepy altar thing, right? So let's just try and do the same coverage, but with less cameras than I did the first time. So if I press plus now, it's going to automatically put this at the end of the previous shot. But you can also customize that. Like if I wanted to, I won't do an overlap here. I'll just keep it clean, right? So I will do it wherever it's telling me to do it, and it's set to 76 frames. Again, that's a preference that's set up in the project settings, so you can actually change that. If you know that like usually you're a slower paced kind of cinematographer and you want to you want 100 frame, 120 as your usual cut, then you can set that up. If you're really fast paced and you want 25 frames, 50 frames, you can set that up as well, and you can alter them like I've shown you already, right? So I'll put this on let's go for 50 align camera to view. So of course it's made it into the same as last time because I jumped back from the viewport. Now if you want to, so if you're not in the camera you want to be in, before, it used to be an absolute, it used to drive me mad, right? Trying to actually click the frame of the camera or go up to the outliner and click the outline. Like, you don't have to do that anymore. All you have to do is click the arrow. That arrow there is select camera of that shot. So now I'm in the camera, I'm controlling it. Let's move it again, right? So let's just get nice and round on his face. Like a close medium at least, right? Okay, let's play that out. He's gonna jump because he's got skanky Mixamo things going on. But I'll best for that. Oh, let's get those out. I'll go those off. That's all right. Right, so I'm going to keep it simple, by the way, guys. Well, the demo shots I'm doing, I'm going to keep them really simple because like the more complex it gets, the longer the demo will take.
Yeah, I will say that what you did there usually takes a lot longer. This did make it a lot faster with like the clicking of the button, getting into the camera, and yeah, it's looking good though.
Yeah, so I'll leave that there. Let's say we've got that coverage there now. Let's go for a wide or something, right? So let's jump out of the camera again. I always tend to click on my character with because I always have orbit around selected on. I just find it the easiest way to navigate. Let's then let's just go somewhere that we didn't shoot before. I don't know. Let's something like that, right? I'll do. And I'm not thinking too much on this section. So let's go for. Actually, let's have some fun. Let's do some long lens stuff, right? So I went for the 90 then. So I'm gonna have to pull this right back to be able to see anything. So let's do that. So that's just playing him when he's looked through the door, right? Now you can also add any, if you're a user of the Ian Hubert Fabulous add-on, you can just add those and they're non-destructive. That's the great thing about that Ian Hubert add-on is that they're non-destructive, so you can add like camera shake and stuff and it doesn't affect anything. You just delete it, no problem. So if I jump to this one again now, this shot here, right? If I double click it and then tap that, I've got 3 keyframes there. Now if I want to move the coverage of that, which I don't, but just to demonstrate what it does, there I go, moving it without it. So that's just actually changing the amount of coverage that I'm getting on it, the actual time that I'm covering. But if I want to take the keyframes with it, which is really good, if you hold Shift, it will take the keyframes with it. And if you want to scale the keyframes, so if I want to like scale a front end, if I hold Shift again, and move the thing outwards. You see it's all scaling outwards with it.
That's great.
Yep.
Everything moves with it too. Instantaneous.
You gotta be mindful about all of this stuff, right? But it's the feature is there, and I think that's a fantastic feature, that one. So that's creating shots and cameras in a nutshell. I can't think of anything off the top of my head that needs other than that needs to be talked about with creating. Oh no, here's one fun feature I don't use a lot, but it has its uses. If you go here, you can actually create shots from existing cameras, which is similar to what we were doing a minute ago. You can create a specific number of shots, right? So you can click this and you go number of shots to create 4. Let's do that because it's easy enough. And then duration of each, just pump that up to 100. And then okay, and now I've got 4 new shots already.
Bam.
But they're all going to be wherever you were looking from. It's all going to make it from, or they just, no, actually, I think they go at the origin. So yeah, if you need to batch create cameras, if you like working like that, you just like pumping cameras out and then manipulating things, you can work that way too. So next thing then, Grease Monkey, is the shots play mode and the sequence timeline. We've already touched on this, but I just want to reiterate and show you where all the buttons are that need to be on for this to work. Right. So I'm going to jump back to my main take here. All right. So if I down on the timeline here, we've got all these fabulous features here, right? So this is jump to the end. No, actually, what do these do? Sorry, I don't use these much. Set start range. Oh, yeah. So this is really handy, right? You can actually set, set your start range, end range. You can actually do it really quickly down here. So you can go start range there, and then go to the end, and then click that, and then you can see that's now updated the running range of the scene. There's a button here that will say if I'm in this shot. If I press this timer button here, it's like a timer symbol. It will isolate that shot alone and jump into it. So if you're really hyper focusing on that shot now, say you've done a rough pass of it and you really want to go in and really calibrate it, and even if you're working within the scene, not just the camera, that's really good for that, because then I always find it. I found this in on various things that I've done. Like when you want to hyper focus, narrowing the timeline range just to the bit you're working on, letting it loop is because you can just watch the shot over and over again, right? You go, is it working? I don't know. And then you could go, okay, well, let's alter it, right? I don't think this is working. Or in the middle, I actually want, I don't know, for whatever reason, you want a camera to do that or something, right? And then maybe back up there. Oh no, actually, I want to, and you're thinking, oh, I want to scale it now. I want to shift it in and scale all those keys together. And then if you press it again, it'll do the same thing. It'll jump in, hyper focus on your new edited shot. This one does the opposite. So if you hold Shift, I think, and press this one, no, maybe. Oh shit! Sorry, Julian, you might have to remind me again. Anyway, I can't get this button to work down here. All right. So up here in the shots list, all the way up here, there's a timer that in the shots, right? If you click the time, it will do what it's doing here, which it'll select the frame range of the shot you're on. If you go up a little higher next to the take, the name of the take, if you press that, it will then jump and cover the entire take and then zoom in to the take on the timeline, the entire take. So I use that one quite a lot when I'm trying to, like, okay, I've done enough finessing. I want to see how the whole thing works again. All right, so how do we actually play this, right? Because when you come into the scene, it will be like that, right? These overlays won't exist. So how you get that to come on is you press this one here, which is like 2 rectangles. You press that, and that'll bring up your shot stack. It's like the overlays that represent the shot coverage. But if I play it now, right? So they're all there. But if I play it, it isn't doing anything, right? We're still in like 3D, real-time 3D mode. I'm looking at the whole take now through this camera, which is quite interesting, right? I mean, I find that really useful because I've set up a bunch of cameras, and then if I'm thinking about, well, what does what if I didn't do that? What if I stayed on this one take longer? I can kind of just sit here, right, and watch the whole thing play out from this angle. I go, actually, that angle works really well there. So then I could go make a new camera, select that camera, as the basis for it, and then carry on. So it's really good for having a different view and kind of analyzing a scene from a completely different perspective, right? And then but if you do want it to play in the kind of the actual edit with the overlaps and the ellipses, you press this button here, which says enable shots play mode. Press that, and then if you start the thing, you'll see now it'll jump the gaps and do the overlaps. So we'll focus in on that in a minute now. So you can see that. I'm going to zoom in on timeline. You see this way? He's just jumped the gap. It jumps the gap, and then when it gets to the end of this green one, it's going to go back to an overlapping shot. And when it goes back there, it's going to jump to an overlapping shot. Now, bearing in mind 2D hybrid type folks, this is, I think, slightly less relevant. It's not necessarily less relevant, but it works better on 3D. This does the overlapping stuff because, as I've said, you have a 3D object that works from every angle. Whereas in 2D, if your character here was a grease pencil character, it's only going to work from certain angles. So there's going to come a point where you have to then do different things to make that overlapping coverage work. But in 2D, there's different ways around it. You could literally you don't need the overlapping coverage really. You could just draw the overlapping coverage. You don't actually have to shoot the overlapping coverage. We'll get into that with Cursor Snapper, I think. So then this this sequence timeline here, the one at the bottom of the viewport, again, you can scrub this blue thing, right? And you will see your edit running as it does. So that's the main philosophy behind that, right? You create your shots here. You arrange the order of those shots there. You manipulate how much coverage in time they have on the timeline. And of course, you manipulate cameras and everything like you normally would. And this sequence timeline allows you to constantly always have access to what the actual edit of this looks like. Now, when you're building your scene for the first time, you might not care an awful lot about what the edit looks like. But it's always useful, right? I think it's always really useful to have a simple way of navigating there, right? Because actually trying to do this down here to see those three shots is actually, I think it's actually impossible for me to do that here, right? Without clicking on the shots individually or going through the stack. But here, it's fine, right? It's easy. That's how you do it. And then what you can also do as well is when you're in the shot list up here, if you press up and down, you'll move through the shots. And then if you actually want to move to the next shot, oh no, sorry, that's continuous. That's continuous editing. We'll come to that later with the grease pencil. Okay, so I think that's it for shots play and sequence timeline. Let's have a quick Q&A about all of that. I know that's quite a info dump if you've never used the add-on. I'd be really interested actually as well, anyone who's here, and we can jump back to like the conversational kind of mode as well. Who here is using the add-on, has already used the add-on, or kind of like are you thinking of picking it up? You interested to hear what people's thoughts on it so far are from your own usage.
So one question I had is, so the only thing, so to change it to shot blast, or no, what's it called? Shot play. It's the little arrow key, right? And that's the toggle that controls that whole thing, right?
Yeah. Just so if we go down here, right, you got what it looks like by default is a straight line, a straight arrow, which means it's just moving forward in time. Yeah. Okay. If you click it, the icon changes to a wiggly line, which implies that, okay, it's still moving forward, but it's also going to do any of this stuff that you've got going on, right? You've got the overlapping coverage, you've got your gaps, and it's going to cover all of that. So, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And then some comments here we have, Julien. Basically, the philosophy is start by creating a continuous action and then introduce shots to create and edit out of it.
Yeah, absolutely, right. So that's why I built this scene. You can keep the question up there, I mean, if you don't mind. Thanks a lot, man. I built this scene up yesterday. I'd actually modeled the environment at a different time, but I got the Mixamo assets and laid it all out yesterday. And that's exactly what I did. I went through the whole thing and worked out, and did the layout of it first before I touched any cameras. And then once I'd gone through it, then I got my cameras. And then I worked out the coverage I was going for, and I did a take. It's not a magnificent take. It's a take that does the job for me for the purposes of this. But yeah, absolutely, right? And that is how I work when I work with 2D, 3D as well. When I work in the cursor snapper is that as well. Or even, when you've got a grease pencil object, you move it through space first. This is what I do. I plan the action out first, then I start shooting it. And then you start the process of refinement from there. That's how I work, right? And if you've watched my tutorials, you know that's how I work. Sorry, my hair is all falling out. Yeah, so great. Thanks, Julien.
Yes.
What else we got?
Another question. Yeah. What about storyboard mode?
Yeah, we'll get to there, man. I don't know if you missed the intro, but we've got a whole itinerary, and we'll get there. Yeah.
I think that's about it. If anybody else has a question, go ahead and put it in the chat. But we'll be soon.
Okay.
Moving.
What's this? There's a couple here a minute. There was a comment about Unreal. Did I see a comment about Unreal a minute ago?
Oh no, yeah, it was just Jean-Claude saying lots of stuff in here relates to the Unreal sequencer. Nice stuff.
Yes. Yeah, it does, right? Because I've been dabbling with Unreal recently as well. Not much, because they released that what do they call it? Epos or something like that. It's a storyboard add-on, which has got a really good promise, I think, as well. And Unreal is obviously amazing software. But yeah, I really like the camera sequence in Unreal. It's very visual, isn't it? It's very like there's your thing and you move it around. Yeah, it's definitely got some similarity there. All right, cool. Let me have a drink of water and we'll move on to what's next. Banners, shots and camera takes. Okay. Go a little deeper into camera takes and stuff now. Shot. So bearing in mind that when we say takes, we are talking about shot and camera takes. This isn't unfortunately, because Julien can't fix all of Blender's problems, right? Blender has a massive issue with takes. Most other softwares have some solution to takes when, what I mean by a take, like in an action, right? So you've shot something, and in one shot, you actually want to rearrange some of the furniture a little bit, to make that shot work. And you might want to reanimate the character or move the character or change the lighting, right? Specifically for that. Blender's really only solution to that is to make an entire copy of the entire file and change what you need for that one shot, which isn't great. And I think it's one of the fundamental problems with Blender in terms of pipeline, because Cinema 4D has the option to have takes. I think, yeah, Unreal has, right? With you do it in the hierarchy, you of how you stack things. So it's not that. So when I say takes, we're referring to camera takes, the camera coverage, right? So I've already shown the one take that I did initially, which is this one here, right? And then I've also done the additional take where I was demoing how you create shots. So we've got two takes going now as well, right? Let's do a duplicate. Let's show you how to duplicate the take. So let's say now I've got this. This is my main take, but I want to go, okay, I want to muck about with this take but not wreck it. I don't want to wreck it too much. So I'm happy with this. Let's duplicate it, and then let's play about with it. So if I go to, you can of course duplicate shots like with this button here. You could like select this shot and duplicate the shot, and they'll give you the option to actually like duplicate the camera, make it unique and everything, right? So if I want to copy the take now, if I go across the take to the tools button, click duplicate take, and it will ask me then also apply to disabled shots and then duplicate cameras, right? So I'm going to duplicate the cameras. And then I'll show you the other way of doing this, because I think there's two ways of doing this to my mind, right? So click that. Oh dear. Okay, let me try doing that without. Right. Okay. All right then.
Phew.
So, Julien, keep an eye on that. I don't know what. So it was basically when I clicked duplicate cameras, it broke when I tried doing it, but it doesn't matter because we can fix that anyway, right? So I'm glad we've done it this way because it demonstrates. See these red numbers here? Can you see these red 2s running right the way down?
Mm-hmm.
Right, that means now it's warning you that this cameras are being used in 2 takes or is being used twice. Now, if in my case, I don't want that to be the case because I want to muck about and I don't want to wreck my first take. So what I do is I go to this toolbox here and I go all the way down to make all cameras unique. So if I click that, oh dear. It's done it though. It's done it in places. That's strange. I don't know. Any ideas, Julian, why that might be happening? Make all cameras unique. They're dying. Okay, well, what's supposed to happen, and it'll get fixed because Julian fixes everything, right? So, and it probably might work in 3.2, and maybe I'll try it in a minute, right? So, what's supposed to happen is that will make every single one of those cameras into like another camera now, it'll effectively duplicate them. So then you can change one camera without it affecting the other camera. Actually, that's really bothered me. I've got to go and try in 3.2 now. Yeah, wait to see if Julian's got an idea why that might have happened.
It's an unexpected bug. Smiley face.
Is that what he said? Okay.
Yeah.
I knew something that it might work here because I got a different version of the add-on installed here. Oh, I've only got 2 shots, right? So it probably work perfectly now. How have I only got 2 shots? Here we go. All right, let's try it, right? So I'm going to duplicate take. No, okay, let's do it without that. And then unique. No, oh dear. Okay, so that's broke. Anyway, when it works, it's brilliant because, yeah, that just makes them all unique, right? So unfortunately, I can't show you that tonight. Yeah. But you can imagine what it does, can't you? Yeah, you're all imaginative people. Yeah, so then that would mean I was free to mess about with the different cameras and everything. But what I'll do it anyway, right, is this is a take duplicate, and I'll start moving shots around at least to show you what I can do with that, right? So I can move the order, and it won't make sense, right? This edit won't make sense, and I'll do it intentionally that way so you can see that all the shots have been moved around. I'm just going to tap on these like randomly, move them around in order. Now let's watch the edit. So he starts there, swings, teleports backwards, lands somewhere else. Ooh, yeah, but it's a new take, right? So you could, if you did this like really thoroughly, you could have all these different takes of the cameras. Like you've got take 1 and everything here. Now what is really cool, right, is if I go to main take. If I make I think this is main take, but if it's not, you can actually set as main take, right? So you can choose any one of your takes and you can set it as the main take. So imagine now you've done 3 whole sets of camera takes, and there's stuff from version 1 you really like, there's stuff from version 2 you really like, stuff from version 3, and you want to bring them together into one main edit. So this is the main take. I'm going to actually, just for the sake of, I'm gonna delete these duplicates in a minute. Remove take.
Oh yeah, something that Julien said real quick. He said, by the way, when duplicating a shot, it is strongly recommended to also duplicate the camera. The currently broken thing, fix soon. Okay.
Yeah. So I've got my main take and I've got my little take 2, right? So let's say I'm looking through this. I'm like, yeah, I really like that shot. And I don't like any of those because they're all the same, right? So I've just got these 2 here. So I'll switch all these shots off. So I've just got these 2 cameras left. And if I go here and we go, this saved my life on a project recently because I had done a bunch of takes. I was like, oh God, how do I hand this over now in a way that actually means something? I'm just trying to find the option in a minute. Oh, I might need Julien again here. What the hell? There's an option basically. Oh, duplicate, move, enable shots to another take. There we go. Sorry. So it's the this toolbar thing here. Third option down. Duplicate, move, enable shots to another take. If I click that, it'll give me the option to duplicate or move. I'm going to move because we've obviously might have some issues with duplication in a minute. Target take, main take, and then insert shot after, edit start, and you can actually choose where you want them to be inserted. So I'm going to insert them after shot after shot 4, right? I'm going to insert them after shot 4. Click that. Okay. Now they're moved. If I go back to this main take, I now have those new shots there. That's those two. So
Nice.
now it's going to, if I just play it from the top again. Oh yeah, they're all out of order now, obviously. But... So we'll have the new shots. You'll recognize them when we get to them, hopefully. So this was one of the new shots, yeah? Then it'll be a close-up, like a medium close. Yep. And then it'll carry on with the edit as it was. So none of that's affected. It hasn't messed anything up or anything like that. It's all because you can see how stacked it's getting at the moment, though, because I've got a lot of overlapping coverage here. It can get a little bit crazy on the timeline if you do too much overlapping coverage. It doesn't bother me. I'm quite a non-linear worker anyway, but I know some people this might drive them mad, working with this much overlapping coverage, and you'll probably end up working with something that looks much more like this, just something more linear, and that's fine. It's
flexible.
It's flexible. It's super flexible. All right, so that's, let me think, is there anything else with shot takes? I think that's about it, right? You can make as many shot takes as you want, and then you can combine them however you want. But it is, just want to iterate, it is just the camera that it's doing that with, the camera and the coverage. But it doesn't, the nice thing is it doesn't take any memory, like as far as I can see. It's not like you could have 100 takes and it wouldn't be any heavier than what it is now, right? Because all it's doing is saying, I would imagine under the hood, it's just telling Blender like what to look at for how long and through what camera. Whereas if you were to try and do the same sort of thing with like duplicating scenes, if you kept making new scenes in your Blender file is going to get heavier and heavier and heavier, and all of that just to have different cameras. So yeah, right. Okay, so that's that, I think. Next one then would be converting camera bindings. Squeeze monkey. We can jump now to Cursor Snapper. All right, so I've got a Cursor Snapper add-on demo file here. You see the dude doing his stuff. So I put this in here because some of you may still enjoy using camera markers initially to block things out, or you may have scenes, as I have, that I've already blocked out with camera markers. Like I've got 36 cameras here, right? And I do not want to build them all again. Right? I don't even want to like do them one by one to go, because the cameras still exist. Basically, if you come in, you'll get this massive warning up here, right? So it says initialize shot manager, but it's giving you a warning. Scene contains markers binded to cameras. Shot manager is not compatible with camera binding. All right, what that means is that it's going to ignore the bindings you've got to the markers you've made. So what you can do, you have two options. You can clear the binding, which will just get rid of the binding, or you can just press convert binding, which is what I'm going to do. Convert binding. And then if I put this shot stack on, ta-da, there they all are, right?
Wow.
Oh, no, there we go, right? So there's a feature I forgot to, a toggle I forgot to show you because it's not how I work. With this option, you see this option here? It's like it's called interactive stack display in compact mode. If you would prefer to view your scene like this for some reason, I think it actually does when you've got overlapping coverage. Actually, let me jump back to the other one, right? So it probably does actually make it easier if you've got shitloads of overlapping coverage. That is a little easier to read, but look at the size on it, right? You'd have to have a separate window or something for this. So I tend to use the compact mode, which then will compress it to as little a space as possible. And something else I want to call out here as well as a lovely convenience is that all of these overlays are conveniently one step down in the display, because you can still access your master keys all the way across the top. So that's the thinking behind that, which I think is great. So let's go to this, and I'll put the compact mode on, which is this one here. Bring that down. So now, in a click of a button, this scene is now fully compatible with Shots Manager. So if I initialize Shot Manager, drag this down, I have the entire 36 cameras converted already. So if I put the shot play mode on, let's get rid of those first two shots. Boring. Go from there. And then if I click this button here to and then play it out, right? So now I can go back into this and I can return to a scene that I've already established and take advantage of the shot management flexibility. So I could start, I could go down here now. I can go, well, that's overstaying its welcome. So I can just drag that. You see what I'm doing there? Drag that in there. There was a mistake. There are edit marks in here from that I cut these out in Premiere. So I can go to there and I can just drag that over. I think there was even one here. Yeah. So I can just start manipulating this stuff. So much easier, right, than done before. You just can't do any of this with if you're using shot markers, camera markers. You're just bound, and you're just trapped basically.
Yeah,
after
it makes every
go.
It makes every little small change like a monumental task.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it doesn't work. It works when you go through it the first time, and after it's an absolute nightmare. So yeah, and then immediately I can start going, well, all right, let's trim this down a bit, right? So we got that. Maybe I don't need this shot, right? We'll go straight to the next one. Just cut straight into that, and then we'll do that. We better have this one. But then when I get there, I'm going to cut all this section out. But when I say cut now, all I'm doing is disabling the shots, right? So they still exist, but I'm getting rid of them just to demonstrate the principle of it. I think I'll leave that one in, actually. So if I play this now, so he should cut out all the stuff with him hesitating in front of the, yep, so he's going straight through. And right here, live in the viewport, there's no VSE, there's no, you don't have to export to do any of this, I don't have to muck about or anything. It's just, I can play with edits and visibility of shots on the fly. I can change the order of shots on the fly. I can make a new take of this and play about with it again, So I think, that's it for converting camera binding. So next would be the retimer, and oh my, I personally love this feature, right? So I was on a project where, God, I can't speak in detail about it, but let's say I had about 10 characters fighting one another with a continuous camera move happening. And then I realized I needed 100 or 200 frames more at the beginning because I started on frame 1. Doing that manually wasn't fun, because you kind of have to grab everything and you have to move the keyframes and you have to move the grease pencil keyframes, and not good, right? So retimer is here. Now, if retimer isn't on for you, up here, let's talk a little bit about some feature toggles, and this feels like an appropriate time. So if I go into feature toggles, I'm in previs mode, right? Because I'm still working in that kind of 3D, 2D, 3D hybrid mentality. If I put down here is the retimer, right? So if I switch it on, it will appear at the bottom here. I'm going to drop that down. I got a whole bunch of options of things I can do here. I'm trying to think of. Let's do it here. Let me switch. Right, this is still on, right? So I want him to be, I'm going to decide now. I actually want this to be, I want it to be in slow motion when he goes through that. It's going to look a bit rough, guys, obviously because of my frame rate of the amount of drawings there are is pretty low. I'll show you on the other scene as well in a moment now. But so let's do actually let's do the global offset time first, which is the first one. Global offset time is what I described. I needed to shift the whole scene on basically 200 frames. So let's go right to the beginning, and I'm going to go actually right to the beginning. Let's go right to the beginning, right? 0, frame 1, and I want to offset it by 300. So hang on a minute. Let me go to 1 a minute. So you can see right now the frame range is 1 to 2550. So if I push this on by, let's do 1000. Right. Now it gives you the option then to apply to holes, because I know if Vinny is still here, right? We have had so many back and forths over the last like 2 years about, oh God, how do you like, what if I need to put a shot in between? How do I like make space? How do I expand? You just, it's a nightmare, right? But this solves it. So whole scene, and then it says invalid settings default, right? Giving you a few warnings here because it's not compatible with a couple of things, right? Retiming is applied to everything in the scene, excluding the compositor content supported, not currently supported by the retimer. NLA editor, which is the animation strips that you can bake into, not bake, you can house within a rig. It's not supporting those at the moment, which is why my Mixamo scene is like stitched together. It's not like it's not done using that technique. And unchecked entities below, right? So you can actually, you got storyboard shots, time cursor, scene range, right? Global offset time. So I'm going to press it now, and it should everything. It should end up starting on frame 1001. There we go, done. Frame 1001. All the shots, all the grease pencil keys, all your object keys, everything, absolutely everything gets shifted on by the amount of time. And I play it, and it's the same thing. It hasn't broken anything. It's just moved it all on. The whole bloody thing. The whole thing, man. The whole thing. It's incredible. It saved my life. This scene did. This feature was just, it came with a perfect moment as well. So anyway, that's the global offset time. Then what should we do? Insert time before. There we go. So this is pretty simple, right? So if I go, well, I need like 100 frames here because I want to stick something else in between. Let me do it between two shots. If I say I want 100 frames here because I want to add an extra shot or something, or a bit of extra time, right? So go there, and it says insert time before duration, and you can also do insert time after as well. They're the same thing. I think I'll do after actually, because I prefer things getting knocked on and knocked backwards. So if I go like 200, oh, that's 2000. So 200, apply to whole scene. Yeah, okay. So insert time. Watch the timeline change.
Like magic.
Oh no. I forgot to do this. Sorry, I forgot to click the actual. You have to click this button here to say like what frame you want it to start on, right? So I think I just added another 200 to the beginning. Yeah, I did, like, because it's on 1201 now. So insert time. There you go. Right, there's your 200 get popped in there. Did you see that?
Yeah, magic.
I'll jump backwards. Anyway, yes. So that's what happened. Oop. There we go. So now it's gone backwards, and I'll go forwards again. It'll go in a minute. Hold on. Undoing and stuff takes a while sometimes, especially when you're changing this much at once. I'll just do it again, right? I'll go here, insert time. There it is, right? Brilliant. So then next one, then my favorite probably is a delete in between time, right? So this one you got to be careful of, right? Be careful with this. It's a brilliant feature, and I'll be cautious with it because I can see it doesn't look like I've got many keyframes, right? So I'm just going to delete like 100 frames here. Up to and exclude. So you click the frame you want to start deleting, and then the next frame, like say there, and then delete time. So it's compressed, and I don't think it's broken anything. No, the reason I'm saying that, right, because it's a brilliant feature. But say if you've got, can you put me back on thing because I can demonstrate this with my hands a little bit better. Yeah, because imagine you've got keys, right? Keys everywhere across the space. If you delete a chunk out of that, right, without really like checking where anything is or anything, you're going to end up with keys doing that. And it could end up nasty. Most of the time it's fine. Just be mindful of it. So just keep an eye out for that. I've had a few, wonky things happen with that, but just keep it in mind. That's it. Thanks. Back to screen share now. Thank you. So that was that one. And then my absolute favorite is rescale time. Right, this is my favorite, right? Because All you slow-mo fans are going to love this one, because you can basically go, if I go from there, actually I only want it to go into slow-mo when he jumps here, right? I want it from there. Click that there, and then there, and then we can go back into full speed, right? So I'm going to go there, and then if you scale it up, let me scale it up by 3 or something, right? That means 3 times as long it's going to take. If you want it to be lower, you obviously go down to, like, 0.25 would be 4 times as fast. So if I go up to 3, oh, remind me in a minute, Grease Monkey, if I don't remember, to show you the playback percentage. It's really cool, right? So
all right, we'll do.
So if I scale this now and I do rescale time, so that's scaled that. So if I play it now, it should go into slow motion as he jumps. Yep, and then back into full speed. Boom. Let me show you that on perhaps a scene that I might read a little better on. Let's go to. Hang on, let me. Just find an action. What does he do? Like the swing. The swing would be good, right? The swing would be good for this. Tell you what. Another feature here. Sorry. There's a little button here that allows you to select or deselect the entirety of your keys. So if you just want to switch them all off and go, well, I actually only want that shot to be on. But in my case, I think I want this one. This is the only one I want on. So now, as you can see, the whole you can see the way the whole edit is basically one strip now across there, and I've only got one thing left there. So let's slow this down. Let's do the swing in slow motion, right? So we'll do the leave the jump, and then as soon as he hits there, do that, and I'll do it ridiculous. I'll do it like six times or something. So rescale time from there to there. I'll do 8. Let's do 8. Why not? Rescale time, and then let's watch it. Let me. Oh, sorry, didn't mean to do that. Push that off. Actually see him. Okay, slow motion.
Nice.
Skills is gonna love that. He loves the slow mo. Yeah, and of course it works the other way around as well, right? If you go to Retimer, rescale time there, and then let's do that again, and then rescale it down to like 0. Let's do 0.1. Ooh, no, that's risky. 0.2. Right. Rescale time. So it's just brought it back down now to like, it's probably roughly where it was before. I'm going to save this off as a different version because things are probably going to get wrecked in a minute. All right, okay. So back to the cursor snapper file. And what was I talking about? Yeah, so that's the Retimer. And it is a flipping amazing add-on feature. I think you can go back to Q&A now as well if anyone's got anything. The even if you're, I don't know, whoever you are, I think using Blender, unless you use those limitations that aren't currently supported, that I think is worth the getting the add-on for that alone. Like for the Retimer to me is a revolutionary part of the add-on. It fixes like an enormous like problem with Blender. Yeah, do we have any new Q&As or anything?
You were gonna show us the playback percentage, right?
Oh yeah. This is great. Okay.
All right.
We can do a Benny Hill version of the scene. Nice one for reminding me. Thank you. Right. So up here at the very top of this stuff here, all these options here, you've got this 100% thing. So this. Right. You can. Hold on. Let me switch. Okay, that's interesting, Julien. I didn't know that. You have to have the project settings switched off in order to use this feature, right? Because it was fighting it then. It was conflicting with the frame range. So basically, 100% is going to play back 100%. 200% is obviously going to play back the scene twice as fast. So you see. Oh, hang on. I don't have. Right, something's. Oh, I haven't got shots playing. There we go. Okay. Bear with, guys. Okay, so now it's moving twice as fast, basically. but it's not really showing it off enough. Let's do 600, right? No, actually, let's go further. Let's go 1,000. Should be the Benny Hill version. Right. Huh. Okay, Julien?
So I think he said when doing real-time operations, I strongly recommend to save before, because undo can behave weirdly in Blender sometimes.
Right. Let me try it on Cursor Snapper a minute. Try. Yeah. So can you see how fast this is playing now?
Oh, much faster. Yeah, I see it.
Yeah.
Bam. Whoosh.
That's only yeah, exactly right. Yeah. So obviously it's impractical for like, you know, but sometimes you've seen your bloody scene so many times that you just like, I just want to watch it through without, you know the timings. You just want to see like how it flows or whatever. It's really useful for that. So yeah, Julien, that isn't working on the scene for some reason, and I'm not sure what the conflict is. So I'd have to have a look at that. So 100. It might be something I've done in this scene. Maybe it's the Mixamo stuff. I don't know, but it doesn't seem to be moving anything 1,000 times as fast. Okay, so then yeah, so it's Q&A too if anyone's got any questions.
Yeah, the only thing we got, Julian, he says, by the way, when duplicating a shot, it is strongly recommended to also do. Oh, I already did that one. So yeah, that I don't think we have any questions. If anybody in the chat has any questions, please. There's 20 of you out there. Please ask away. But
we've got some bots. We got some bots.
Oh yeah, I deleted them. They should be.
Okay, I can still see them. Nice.
Yeah.
Tinder Hot XYZ. Great.
Yeah, they got in here. I knew it. There's always one, isn't there?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, good praise though. You know, you got John Claude said, yeah, this is wicked. So it's looking good.
Okay. I'll give it a minute, see if any other questions come through about that segment, and if not, we'll move on. So the next segment will be, what is it? They're working with Cursor Snapper, and then the hybrid features, and then the storyboard, and the hybrid storyboard features, and then the 2D storyboard features.
Yeah. So John Claude says he has a question that's not related to this add-on.
Okay, that's all right.
Let's see.
Go for it. Just ask. Oh. Don't ask.
Yeah, just ask. Yeah, just ask,
like
guys.
2 minutes before. Yeah. It is a great looking tool, Shay Smith. Thank you. Julien. Thank Julien. We're not so many, but we are working for posterity. Indeed, we are. Yeah.
All right. Questions coming through here. And it is, I'll click it here. It is any add-on that gives us camera rigs like in Unreal, dolly on tracks, and crane shots.
Right. So I don't know much. I know there's one because Danny Araya showed it to me on the stream. Right. If I it's doing Cursor Snapper just because it's a bit of a cleaner looking scene. It's easier to navigate. Yeah. So Jean-Claude, if you go to, there's one built into Blender that has a rig. I don't know if it's going to be exactly what you're looking for. There are definitely add-ons for camera rigs. I've seen them, but go on, for instance, go on Blender Market and type something similar in, and go on YouTube, type it in. I'm pretty sure there are some. So I'm going to edit, preferences, add-ons, and then I think it's just called, I'll just write rig. Add camera rigs, right? Right. So then, yeah, great. It comes in. Sorry, what else? It comes to story. That's interesting. It's got an association with Story Pencil. That's interesting. Anyway, so as long as you've got that installed, what that does is when you create camera, when you go to create a camera, so if I place my cursor here, right, if I go to Control A and then camera, yeah, here we go. We got a crane camera rig or a dolly camera rig. I'll go for the crane one, all right? So that'll, where did that go? Oh, I've got my extras switched off, I think. Yeah. Which one was it? Do we know? Shot 7. Oh god. Let me make another one. Right. So Control A, camera, camera rig. Is it this? I'm not familiar with this, so bear with
it's
me.
called crane camera.
That's called crane camera. Okay, so I think the general principle of this is that you can move it. Well, you can't move it. You can move it. It's something to do with pose mode.
Yeah, try going into the outliner and looking for that camera. Press like the decimal key on the numpad. There it is.
Crane camera.
To see if it had any sort of association with anything.
I can't get it
but
to
it's
do
there.
anything. So right,
it's
it is there.
Jean-Claude.
Basically, what it comes up with. I tell you what, let me start a fresh blender. I know this has got nothing to do with this, but it is actually kind of. I really wanted to. I did actually want to demo this with the add-on. So I'll show you now. I'll see if I can get it working right, because I know it was working when Danny showed it to me, right? So file, edit, preferences, add-ons, rig, add camera rigs. Okay, right. So let's delete that. So I know that's not camera. Shift A, camera, crane. There we go. Right, here we go, man. I don't know why that's not. It might be that I've just got something switched off. Actually, I bet that's what it is. I got bone switched off. Yes, there we are. All right, okay. So
Success.
I still don't know why I can't move it.
You have to
because
move
it's
the
a crane.
pieces,
Because
though,
it's
right?
a crane.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you have to hit this thing, I think, right? And then you go into pose mode, and then you can move it. Oh dear. Yeah. Okay.
There it is. Yeah.
Something like this. Yeah. You have to forgive me, mate. It's not something I'm familiar with. But yeah, they're there, right? And so the good thing is that if you say this is your rig, right? You really like these rigs or whatever, right? When you come to in the shot manager, if I want to make a new shot here now, right? Because that's in the scene, and what you could do is you could set up whatever your favorite cameras are. You either set them up in a different file like I've done, right? They're just in a different file. That won't work with this because it won't import the rig with it. What you can do is in your scene that you know you need to use them is bring those cameras in, stick them in the corner somewhere, right? And then when you come to make a thing, if I go here, I can go crane camera 1, use that, okay, and now it will use that as the camera. It just can't import them. So just remember that. Yeah. Found out the other night. Yeah. So no more questions now?
Nope, that's it. So
All
let's
right,
go back.
Workflow with cursor snapper. Let's get rid of. I tell you what, I'll just reload the file. Don't save. Snap course. So I guess the answer with the cursor, like, because Danny's asked me a few times about like what's my workflow with cursor snapper and this now, and the honest answer is there is no different to how I've been showing the 3D stuff, because the way I think about Blender is I think about it as 3D anyway. So my grease pencil character moving through space, whether that be an object or whether it be cursor snapper, is a 3D object moving through space. And so I tend to do that first as a rough, like I do a block out, and then I shoot the coverage, and then I refine the art and the camera from there. It's the same workflow really that I set out in the actual cursor snapper video demo that I did. But let's have a look then, right? So let's say, all right, started, right? So he gets here, and this time he's going to decide not to go through. So instead of doing this, I'll make a new shot after this. Actually, what I'll do is I'll disable. What shot number is this? If you double click it, by the way, it'll become active in the timeline, and then you know where you are. So I'm going to switch all these shots off after it. Okay, so I'll save that as 2. Yeah, so now none of those shots exist anymore. All of this action still exists on him, but it's there's no coverage for. Well, actually the cameras still exist. I've just switched them off for this take. Right. What I'll do is get to the end of this, and then let's make something new up. Right. So let's get out of the camera. So it's the same as I demoed there. Right. I work like this. So if I click him, we're on him. Let's find our cursor snapper. Let's make sure I'm on the right lane, tie down lane. I want to be on rough really, but switch the roughs on. No, the roughs all the way back there. So I'll be on tie just for the purposes of this. I'll just stick on tie down. So I assign just to that, and then I just want to make sure it's working. So shift up and down. Yeah. So cursor snapper is all working fine. So I'm basically, instead of him going through now, I'm gonna turn him back. Right? That shot shouldn't exist anymore. Oh, that is the one I kept, wasn't it? Sorry. Yeah. If I switch switch that off now, so we're just in 3D time, right? So it doesn't keep switching to the camera all the time. All right. So then I would go like switch my grid on, because canvas and onion skin. There's also shortcuts for this in the shot manager. I will have to switch on a particular option here. So if I go to feature toggles and I click this, even though I'm in Previs, if I click this storyboard option, switch that off a minute. Then down here in the storyboard, I can actually control like whether the canvas is on or off. Why isn't the canvas showing up? I know why. Sorry, I know why. Draw mode. 3D cursor. Yeah, it is. It's just I've got the color on something stupid and you can't see it. Where is that?
It's just blending in with that shadow.
Yeah. It's been a while since I've used the grid. Can you remember the grid is, man?
Yeah, I think it's that viewport display that you were
Is
just
it?
down there.
This
Yeah.
one done,
Yeah, and then put the transparency up.
No, it's not it.
That's not it.
Canvas. There we go. Canvas.
There it is.
There we go. Let's just go there, right? So basically, like if I wanted to go a different direction from you now to kind of demonstrate different coverage, so I'll go. This guy.
Yeah, Julien says your current shot has no storyboard frame.
Yeah, I know. I'm demoing cursor snapper at the minute. I'm not doing the storyboard frame stuff yet. So he's gonna chicken out and go this way. God damn it! Forgot about this. You got to keep you got to put the with grease pencil. You've got to put the auto key on only for it to make keys. Forgot about that. Okay. So he's gonna chicken out this way. Oh, hold on. Let me do my dot path ultra thing in a minute. So surface. Remember this from the thing. I just play it and then do something like that, and I can jump backwards.
John Cludd says, "Where's the auto key button?" It's to the left of the play buttons.
It's the blue. It's the blue dot here that I'm kind of circling around there. It's basically the thing that, like, anytime you change anything, anything you want to auto key, that is that basically. But you got to be careful of it when you're in like 3D mode and object mode, because every time you move something, it's going to add a key. So yeah, let me just okay. No, this isn't. Yeah. Is the onion skin stop now? Sorry, this isn't going well. I might have to bail on this. Actually, yes. We'll try again. Hold on. Let me try again. Let me just make a new scene. I shouldn't have saved that. Draw mode, 3D cursor, front side X, shot manager. Right, okay. An onion skin. Bear with. Stick the auto frame on. Surface all the way down low, just to do a little dot path thing in a minute. So
yeah, with that auto key, you just play and tap where the path would be, right?
Yeah, thanks a lot. Yep, with you put surface mode on. Basically, it's a really quick way of making a thing. So I'm going to assign that, and now with my cursor snapper, this is. See, why isn't it? Oh, I know why. There we go. Okay, there we go. All right. So yeah, I would basically just like I did with the cursor snapper demo. I don't even know if he's on the floor yet. Never mind. It's not going to be any more prettier than this tonight, guys. Time is of the essence. So do a little forward roll or something. Yeah. But this is why I like cursor snapper, right? It's so fluid, and you're not messing about with object keys or anything. So if anyone is watching this and isn't familiar with cursor snapper and you don't know what the hell I'm talking about when I say cursor snapper, it's the add-on that Ed White and myself created so that you don't need object keyframes anymore. So there we go, right? We've got our little. Why are you not assigned this? There we go. There he is, right? So he's playing, he's running around. I just drop in a couple of cubes or something now, go back to object mode, drop in a cube, just to have something to pick the scene up. Ray. Okay. Pull that shit off. Right, so now I've got, this is my, the equivalent of oh, why is that? Where's he gone to? Grease monkey? Where's that?
I think you have auto key on.
Oh, see, here we go. What a perfect demonstration,
yeah.
right? Here we go, John. Whoever asked that question. Oh, see, this is why you have to be careful when you're in object mode, because you have stuff moving about, right? So just watch out for that. I would say if you're doing layout, as in environmental layout, you don't want to be animated. Don't have that on, and then when you do it, right? So there we go, right? So he's moving about. There's absolutely no purpose to the scene whatsoever, but it's just for demonstration, right? So now, so then you say, oh, Danny was asking, like, what's my method? It's same as this, right? So I do that, and then I'm like, okay, now I have to think about how am I going to frame this? How am I going to do whatever with it? So we bring up the shot manager. I'm gonna. I don't actually need the storyboard stuff because I'm not using it. I will create a new shot, align camera to view. Same thing as before. I will. Let's go back. Sorry, to the beginning. See what he does, right? Let's just do like a low sort of a little pan or something as he comes on. So he's going to move around there. I'll just adjust the camera. Oop, got that. Camera. Camera. So then there's shot 1. Then shot 2, I might go. Maybe I don't need all that shot 1. Maybe I just go to there. I'll just put the thing on. Shot 1 can be there, right? So then I get them in and I start. I do this. Then at the end of it, and then +1. Align camera to view. Sure, whatever. Click it. Move it. Let's go for top down, right, for the second bit. I'll just do like 3 shots or something just to demo it. And that. There. And then actually let's move these all back a bit. Oh, sorry. Remember, you can move the camera keys with the. I forgot to do that when I did that. There we go. And let's do one more. And yeah, let's pick him up over here, right? Just shoot from over this. Actually, again, pom. Amazing, right? Absolute masterpiece. Masterpiece. Forget the goblin scene, you know, that took me all day. This is for the. Yeah. So then Danny, I'm referring to Danny because he was the one to ask me the question, but I'll go back into my cursor snapper, and I will then because let's say I've chosen these shots now, I've chosen these angles. I then make a new. I'll do the thing here where you have like duplicate empty frames. I think that's a really nice feature they added. So I'll go to. So I'm still snapped to. If I go back to my cursor snapper, I still snapped to GP layer, which is my rough version, but I'm actually on the other layer now. So I can let me drop the opacity on that a minute. And then I'm in this, and I'll do then, instead of front X, Y, I will do view. And I'll start drawing like the proper version of him. Little dude with a cane.
A little top hat, nice.
Little top hat. Yeah, and then when I get to the other one, and that's it. It's the same process. It's just I use the shot management thing to do the shots instead of the camera. What do we call it? Camera binding, switching. Yeah, so that's it for cursor snapper. There's nothing. I don't think there's anything more. I think actually one thing I was thinking of, right? Actually, which will lead us into the hybrid stuff, which we're doing. Yeah, we're doing that next now anyway, right? So, is let's say I did one overlapping coverage, but that's really tricky in thing. I would then, if I really wanted overlapping coverage here, right? Let's say there. I want a shot here, right? Shot manager, create, do that. Let's do 140. So this is my new shot here, right? So now I've gone out, and this is probably gonna, if people don't like the non-linear workflow, that's gonna freak them out anyway. But let me change the angle to something distinct, like I don't know, like here or something. Let's watch the action. Yeah, so it's like that, right? We've got in the edit, we've got that, then we've got that over, then let me put that one above. So I've moved that now to be in front of it. So we do that, and then we jump back to that. Now, the problem with this is, right, and this is the struggle with 2D overlap, is that all of those keys, if I go and draw those in the same grease pencil now, they're all going to show up all the time, aren't they? You know, there's no way of me like it knowing when to hide which layer. That would be really interesting, actually, Julien. There's a super advanced feature in the future. It's like whether you can assign. This is a crazy idea, like of a grease pencil object to assign certain layers to certain cameras, so they only show up on a. I mean, that might be impossible, but anyway, the idea I would say then is like you start using the built-in storyboard features. So if I switch those on here now, storyboard features. Now, when I'm in a shot, now I have this storyboard So anyone who's more interested in my Storyboard hybrid stuff, drop that down, and I can create a storyboard within this shot, right? And it's done that now, and this is basically stuck. It's parented to the camera and it's stuck on top of the camera. So if I want to, but the good thing about these storyboards, the storyboards attached to the cameras, is that they only exist for the duration of that camera. Right? They don't stay in the scene; they just disappear. They're invisible whenever you not want them to be. So now, if I go into draw mode on this, I could then why is that so big? There we go. I could do this, right? Now that's happening because the canvas is further up. It just never work for me. You're able to change the distance of the thing from the camera, but it's not working for me at the moment. So anyway, the principle I'm trying to address here is that if you really need something to overlap in time, you could use this method of using this, which will only exist within this shot, right? So if I do that now, if I play it, right, you won't see it in the other scenes, right? So it doesn't exist. You don't see it, right? So now let's jump out of this and go to the scene that I've built properly using this technique, right? So this whole scene here was done. I'll switch the initial scene on as well because I have 2 shots in the opening, right? There's some very cool features to this workflow, and this isn't necessarily how the add-on was designed. It's just the features that are in it allow for this kind of workflow. So we've got this kind of like epic landscape, and you've got a dragon, humanoid-y dragon demon-y thing kind of coming in, right? So there's an option for shot 1, but it's kind of it's a little bit flat, a little bit boring. Maybe this is more of an interesting thing. It's covering the same timeline, but not, you notice that neither, like, I'm not seeing the one from the other shot. I'm not seeing the if I do those again, right? These occupy the same space and time, the same time anyway, but through each other's lenses, they're invisible to one another, right? Because the storyboard layer will just its visibility is toggled with the shot. So each of these now was made by going through like I've done. I picked the camera, and then I picked. I'll show you how how I did it. Right, is I pick the camera like I've shown you, and then you can actually add storyboard frame immediately. So add storyboard frame, okay. And by the way, in the preferences, you can set what the opacity is. So it doesn't, my iOS have mine are about 0.2. So now this is again parented to the camera, and then I can just draw on the camera, right? And it'll just, whatever I do with that camera, like if I, I can just animate on top of it. I can move it. If I move the actual camera, which is here, it will, oh, sorry, it's, yeah. So if I move the camera, it's actually moving with it. So this is actually really useful for things like flying sequences, which is why I chose to do a flying sequence with it. So all of these storyboards you're seeing here are not, there's a couple of them that are, right? But they aren't like occupying space in the way that the cursor snapper is or the other methods I work in. This is actually like a kind of an acknowledgement that sometimes it's easier just to draw over in front of the camera than it is to actually make the thing move through space, because that is just a fact, right? And I've done a lot of this stuff, and I still love and prefer that way of working, that proper hybrid way of working, where you're moving the grease pencil through space, but sometimes it's very time consuming, and then you're dealing with object keys, or you're dealing with lots of cursor snapper keys or whatever. Sometimes it's just easier to draw what you need to draw through the lens so that it just works through the lens, because quite often what I'm finding myself doing with Blender is, and I'm really up against it, I do the block out in Blender, I export the video of it, and then I draw over the top in Storyboard Pro, just because Storyboard Pro is where all of my efficiencies and everything are. So this is a kind of a way of me not having to leave Blender if I really feel like I need to just scroll something down quickly to make it work. The limitations of that are that if you move the camera, the object will, the grease pencil moves with the camera, right? Now you may want that in the case of like a shot like this. That's perfect for these kind of shots. It's perfect for these opening shots, you know? But when it comes to, say, a shot like this, or a shot like this one, where I feel like I actually want to move the camera here to accommodate his action, then you have to do something a little different. I've done it already here. So if you watch here, the camera moves quite independently from it here. That's because I've detached the storyboard from the camera, right? So if you've got a storyboard attached to the camera here, made through the Ubisoft Shot Manager, there's a button here. It's like a lock with a diagonal down arrow. Let me just make sure I'm actually on the right thing. If I click that now, it will detach. So that now no longer exists associated in association with the shot. It is now a normal grease pencil object, right? And so now I can move it around. And if let's say I wanted to do this shot sort of really spatially accurately, I could move it to like his actual position now, right? Instead of just sitting on top of the camera. I'm going to move him to where I want him to be roughly anyway. Until we don't get, there we go. That's probably close enough to work, right? So I go back to the camera, and you can't tell the difference, can you really? Right? Mm-hmm. So, but now what we've got is the action is going to play out the same. But now I can make my camera flexible now, so I can actually key this to kind of follow his action. The artwork late breaking. So now we've got that, right? So there's so much flexibility in the way we work. You can draw onto these storyboards that are made in the camera for really quick things, but understand the limitation is that when you move the camera, it moves, and if you don't want that, you need to detach it. And then once it's detached, you just need to add, like if you find that it's showing up in other scenes, in other shots, then you just need to use the hide. He might show up here. No, he's not showing up. He's all right there. You might need to use like the hide up in the what do they call it? The outliner. Oh, my outline has disappeared for some reason up there. But you just have to use like either the hide or the hide in viewport thing, right? And he's sorted. Then it's good. It's all good. Yeah. So that was all of this was done using that technique. The technique of either having it parented on top of the camera or then detached for a little bit of camera work. So I'm really loving this. Entire scene was done using the add-on. It wasn't done beforehand and then adapted. It was done purely in the add-on, and I find this to be a really, like, if it ticks another box, right? There's all these different ways of working, and I find that this way is gives us another range of versatility, I think, of how we can work. Some people might absolutely love working like this, right? Because I get the sense when I show new people Blender is that what they're kind of overwhelmed with sometimes is the idea of moving the grease pencil object through space like an object, because, especially if they're coming from like a background. We can probably switch back to, yeah. If they're coming from a 2D background, especially, I think it can be a little bit overwhelming to begin with. The idea of then having to learn how to move objects around and then, you know, track them with cameras and think like a 3D person. So I think having features like this that allow this kind of another flexibility to that is just great, right? It's a plus, definitely a plus. You might not want to use it, but I think some people really will want to use it.
Yeah, I definitely starting Blender is always like a hassle because it's like you feel like you have to learn a whole different like mindset. And I think this add-on really transitions in between the two different mindsets to be able to like meld them together. So yeah, I can agree to that.
Yeah, there's more tools in the arsenal. That's the way I look at it. Mm-hmm. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to demo the 2D side of it, right? Because very briefly though, because it's not something I really use, but I will show Julien's video. I did also want to bring up before I go into it. So let me show Julien. Like this is Julien. By the way, all these links are in the description, so you can find these links. So Julien's already made a video conveying a lot of what I've been conveying tonight, but in a very concise manner about the basic philosophies behind the add-on. So he's got 2 videos. One is based around this Previs notion of 2D3 hybrid and layout coverage and all that, which is demonstrated in this video. And then he's also got this excellent video, which I think really, really successfully and concisely visually demonstrates the 2D side of it. So yeah, so this is like, if you want to use this as a pure 2D storyboarding feature, storyboarding function, you can do that as well. And what's really cool about it is there's settings, there's like presets in the thing, which I'll show you in a minute, about like what your layers are called, what materials and brushes you got associated with them, or at least materials. And you can batch create shots, and then you can do all these timings and everything like that. You can and then once you're kind of, I'm not sure where it is in the video, is a really cool thing. So you've of course got all these controls to animate the canvas and everything, but you've got, where's the bit, man? I'm waiting for it. It's a super cool bit. Here we go. Right, so check this out now. This is a cool feature, right? So he's taken the storyboard from there and then like graduated it essentially down into 3D. So it's like he's changed the type of the shot and he's pushed. But that's really cool, right? I think that's so he's just that's a really good feature. I like that a lot. So and to be fair to my collaborator Ed White, if you are really interested in this more 2D way of working in a kind of grid format, and then you know, working individually in panels and in a wider grid format, which is very similar to some of the features in the Ubisoft Shot Manager, Ed White already has an add-on called Storyboard and Animatic Add-on, which has been available for a while, which does a very similar thing, right? It's very much about that old school way of kind of like having storyboards up on a wall, almost, the way I think about it. And I think that's the great appeal about like this way of working, is that it kind of simulates that idea of having all the storyboards up on the wall and then kind of taking them and moving them and restructuring them and that kind of thing, right? So if you're into that kind of thing, check out Ed's add-on as well. That's also a free add-on. By the way, I don't know if I mentioned this at the beginning, the Ubisoft Shot Manager add-on is free, and all the links are in the descriptions. Yeah, so check out Ed's channel. Ed also made the Cursor Snapper add-on with me. And while we're in plug-in mode, here's Grease Monkey's channel, all right? So I was going to keep this for the end, but
I appreciate it. No,
check out Grease Monkey. He's been a wonderful co-host, right? So let's drop that down. Right. So then let me just activate the add-on, then that part of the add-on. So Shot Manager. So now I want to be in storyboard mode, right? I don't want to be in previs mode. So this icon here, I don't know if you can see it, it's like a clap, you know, like a take clap. If you click that, it'll switch to a little man waving on a square, which means that you're in storyboard mode now, right? So any shots I make in previs mode will be, if I go down to the properties, which I completely forgot to show this previously, if you drop properties down, you get all this stuff associated with the camera, like the camera name, which you can change, the shot name, which you can change, the lens, even you can play with that stuff, the color of the icon and everything. But if you look here, it's called camera shot, right? And that means that it works in conjunction. I believe this is what it means, is it works in conjunction with the you know, the shots, the shot stack and the shot. It's kind of like, actually, I don't know how to define that. Julia might be able to help me actually with the definition between camera shot and storyboard shot. But regardless, anyway, right? It's a camera shot. Delete this, and if I go into storyboard mode and I make a new camera, it will be a storyboard shot, which means then that, you know, the storyboard already has a storyboard attached to it. It will have a canvas, and it will exist as a flat thing somewhere in the scene. So it's not like you're not pointing at something, the viewport, and then creating a camera from it. It doesn't really sit in space in that sense. It's up somewhere in the corner, working in on its own right. So if you can also, like Ed's add-on, you can kind of create multiple specific number of shots with storyboard frames. It's about halfway down here, right? So if I click that and I go 10, I go okay, right? And if I want to see that, if I just jump out, then you can see where they all are, right? They're all set up. So
Nice.
you can just start working on those. Oh, I knew I forgot something. Like, remind me about continuous drawing mode, right? It works here, but it also works. So once you've kind of gone into a storyboard, right? So in the storyboard drop down, you click. Actually, if I click, yeah. Oh no. If I click that, I'm in. It's put me in storyboard mode now, in draw mode, right? So let's say this is shot 1, and it's like a vista of the sunset or something, right? Rocks in the foreground, and then shot 2. If I want to go to shot 2 now, so this is continuous draw mode, and it works in 3D as well, and I'll show you that on the other scene in a minute. Hold Control and press up. I'll jump to the next shot, but I will still be in draw mode. So now I don't have to go in and out of object mode and back into draw mode. I don't have to click the button to select the shot and then go into the storyboard. It's all good, right? So if I next shot will be a medium shot of a man, and then the next shot, a close up, right? Close up, dude. And then a reverse or something. Let's see what he's looking at. And there's a village or something over here. That'll do, right? So so Control up and down will switch between the different shots. Just fabulous. So then, like if you've got multiple frames, within a shot. So let's say I want to. I don't know what I'm doing here, guys. I'm just making keyframes, right? And then I want to. I got it. I just noticed what one of the distinctions is between camera shot and storyboard shot, right? If you notice, they're all happening at the beginning here. They're not. Oh no, they do go out. No, that's not the distinction. Okay, so if I just make extra keyframes, guy walking towards camera. So if I'm pressing up and down, right? Okay, so if I go back. It's supposed to be showing the keyframes on the timeline. I'm in 3.2. Oh, for God's sake. Sorry, guys. All right, let me save this and jump over to 3. Okay, so I'm in draw mode, and I'm in shot 1. So there we go. I got my keyframes, right?
Indeed, Julien says, indeed, in the Blender 3.3, the grease pencil keys are also visible in the timeline editor, not only in the dope sheet.
Yeah, it's kind of It's not working here. Let me try in the scene that I know it works in, because this is how I did the scene. So if I go back to shot 1, there we go, right? I don't know why that's not working in that scene I just made. If I press forward, up. Yeah, I'm flicking through the actual keys of that particular dragon for that shot. And if I press Control and up, then I jump to the next shot, and that jumps me to the keyframes of that thing. And then I do it again. See, on timeline, you can see the keyframes, right? Those are grease pencil keyframes. So it's what it's doing is it's basically recognizing that shot has an attached grease pencil associated with it, and so it's jumping to it automatically. So I can stay in draw mode, right? If I was in draw mode, I could stay in draw mode, and I could draw on it continuously. And then if it jumps to a shot that doesn't have it associated, which would be this one now, right? This isn't associated anymore. Do you remember because we detached it? It no longer, it doesn't work for that. So of course you will have to jump back to object mode or select that if you want to work on that particular one. But then if I carry on, it will jump back then to any others. It'll start to highlight them again. So that's the idea of continuous drawing mode, is that you can just keep drawing constantly, right? As the name would suggest. So yeah, the 2D thing was a little bit broken there for some reason. But yeah, so basically once you're done with that, then if you watched Julien's video, you can basically elevate that to like a camera shot, and then you can start like if you go to object mode, you could like pull that out. If I go to Previs mode now, you can move that out and go down into your like if you got a 3D scene down here like he does in the demo. Yeah, so check that demo out. It's really cool. Right, so that is the story. That is the hybrid stuff and the brief look at the 2D storyboard features. So Q&A 3, but I don't think anyone's. I'm not sure if there are any comments.
Yeah, I don't think there are any. Julien said, "Send that scene to the support." And then Julien says, "What about the?" Let me put this on screen. What about the expanding the summary arrow? What about expanding the summary arrow?
Summary arrow. I don't know what you mean by that.
Oh, I think maybe while you were going through that, he was trying to help through.
Oh,
there is a delay, right? Like the 40-second delay,
yeah.
something like that.
Yeah. I think. All right. Well.
Yeah. What he means is on the left side, on the bottom left, when you were in the previous scene that wasn't working, the summary arrow on the bottom left was up, like maybe expanding that to that.
What do you mean the summary? Do you mean like properties?
No. See, right at the bottom left of your screen, there's like the word that says summary. It says cam, and then dope sheet transform. Move your mouse all the way to the left from this point. Okay, down. And then yeah, right there. That's what he's talking. That's what Julien is talking about.
Ah, for God's sake. That's
there
right.
We go.
But it wasn't flipping through them either. But that's the weird thing. I'm not in. I'm in the thing now. So yeah, I don't know why it's not flipping through the keyframes. Anyway, I'm not sure about that. Stuff goes wrong.
But yeah, if anybody has any questions, please put them in, or else we'll just
we'll move on to render options will be next. Then render options and PLAYBLASTS. All right, so you've got you've got your scene, you've got your take ready, you're happy with it, you think I want to export. So there's a full range, there's a full suite really of export options. Now, if you're using, so in the tab, so when you've got the Shot Manager tab, underneath it, you've got the Shot Manager Render tab, and then you've got all this stuff here, right? So you've got OpenGL. This will be like how you want to render, what you want to look like, right? So you want to use EV, From Scene, or Workbench. So EV is obviously, the real-time renderer here. Higher, slower, faster. So you can choose your quality. So we can go from scene, higher, which would be a slower render, medium, low, faster. You can also then, you can render an image. You can render the current shot you're on. You can render all of the shots you're on individually and as a play. It actually gives you the option to do a PLAYBLAST as well. You've got an edit file that you can export, like XML file, so that if you need to hand this over to other software, it helps facilitate that. And you've got the PLAYBLAST option, which is the thing I probably use the most frequently, I would say, which will PLAYBLAST the entire edit. Basically, it'll create an animatic for you. So something to watch out for there. So we got stamp info. If you switch stamp info on, that's going to give you info top and tail, right? Which will say things like, let me find the exports. So this is what I've done here, right? This what you're looking at here was when I selected, I went to render all, and I asked for it to render image sequences and videos. And in the project settings, what I made sure was that like my actual resolution is 1920 by 816, which is a 2.35 to 1 aspect ratio. But then the frame resolution, which means how big will it be once the borders are attached to it for the stamp info, is 1920 by 1080. You can actually choose whether you want handles or not to be exported as well. So handles, if you don't know, are extra frames at the top and tail of every shot, so that you have flexibility in edit after the fact. But you may not want those, so you can switch that off or on. By the way, I should have done this a lot earlier, but the camera assets file that I use to where I said, like, I've got my cameras, I've got, for each time I create a camera, I want to reference a certain file. It's in the project settings, camera assets file. That's where you'll find it. And then you click on whether you want use stamp info or not. So, okay. And then you would export the whole shebang. Basically, I would click render all. I'm not going to do that, obviously, because it would take a while, but I've already done it, so you can see what it looked like. So render all comes out like this, right? So it does every single shot as an individual file. Sorry, let me jump back. This is what render all image sequences and videos comes out like. If you select only image sequences, it'll export every frame as a PNG within the folder of the file. If you go for video, it will just do a video for every shot. And if you do image sequences videos, it's going to do them all. And then you can also click on down here, you've got re-render existing shots. So if you've already pumped them off and you want to replace them, click that. And generate sequence video will actually do that, make an edit of the whole thing as well. So you just sit back and it'll give you all your frames, all your videos individually and collectively. So it's a whole thing in one button push. So this is what it comes out looking like then. So I've got like the first shot here, right, where I can flip through all my individual frames. And then this is stamp info up here. Now you may not want this, right? So you just switch stamp info off if that's the case. But this sort of stuff is obviously very, very useful for editors and for pipeline, because all of this back end stuff and the add-on itself is designed for pipeline. So these kind of options are really important for pipeline and everything, right? So you've got stuff like the date the file was made, by who, the title of the thing, Goblin Temple. Down here you've got the path of the file, just in case you can't find it again or something. You've got, like, you can change all this in the settings. I'll show you that again now in a minute. So you can just act 1, sequence 1, shot 10. Main take, it tells you what take, so you can track all this stuff, you know where everything is. 3D frame is, so down here is basically the frame range in the scene where it is. And then up here is the video frame, is like say if the shot is 79 frames long as it is here, that's the counter that's managing up there, right? So it's doing both of those things for you. So you've got everything really, right? You've got and you got like the lens that you were on, 39, the camera you were using. So again, if that camera was called something else, you could probably impart more information into that. So they come out like that in sequences. Then you've also got the video. So there's the individual video. And then I think that's the one. I renamed it. This is the whole edit then. And all I have to do is press a button and I had all of that export sorted for me, which is great.
Nice. All in one.
Yep. Amazing, right? So if you don't want all of that, right, and you want a really quick, a much quicker play blast, for instance, that's what the play blast is for. You go to play blast. Again, you can change the settings and stuff on that, right? But resolution % as well. So if you really want it quick, you could drop it like 20% and you absolutely crap it out. You can even put if you put it to workbench, and you can also with overlays, right? That's a really cool feature as well. I think that works on all of them. Yeah, you can actually export with overlays as well. So if you really want all your cameras to show up or something like that, or for whatever reason you want overlays showing up, you can have it export with all the overlays and everything. So nice and easy. Let's go back to the project settings. There was something I want to talk about there. Yeah, so it's got basically this is where you put the title of your project. You can add a logo, and then you can what's the conformity, right? So is it act, sequence, shot? You can change all that to however you want it. Yeah, so that's that. And then we've also got this suggested folder structure.
In between here, let's see. There's some while we transition. Night in Stride said, is there a place we could find non-demo examples of the features and actions, like finished products that people have made? And Julien answered with some rendering features appeared recently in Blender, and that he received requests to support them, and that's on the list. And he was answering to Night Stride here. They're on Ubisoft, within Ubisoft.
Yeah, okay. And I would say that this example, the example that he has going on in this one, if you look at this Raving Rabbids one, I don't know if this is actual production, but I think it is. I believe they did a whole film using this as far as I can remember. I think that's what Julien said. This add-on was developed as an answer to the pipeline they were looking to make. So it has been used, yeah.
Yeah. He said shot managers also used for all previs of all Rabbids Invasions to Mars TV series. That's pretty awesome. Fully made in Blender, by the way, Julien says.
Nice.
Yeah, so Julien, then you're trying to post links. If you could probably send those to me or Paul, and then we can post them in the chat. Apparently, like people posting links in the chat, it doesn't post through. But
here's something as well for anyone who's interested as well, right? The way the folder structure is designed to work. Because what I was doing before was I was just I had like a bunch of scenes all in one folder, and I was just pumping out renders. What it does is, if you're not looking out for it, it's gonna just rewrite over main take all the time if you're just using a main take. So what you have to do is create your project folder. Inside the project folder, you have your Blender file, right? So my project is whatever your project folder is. Sequence 1, let's say, is one sequence, and then you have your Blender file within it, and then you only have that one Blender file in it, basically, or the file associated with that sequence, and then it'll just keep pumping back into the main take and everything. So it looks like this, basically. So in Goblin Temple, I have the Blender file, yeah, and then when I've rendered, it renders at it does the main take in there. And if I go to the hybrid dragon scene, I've got my hybrid dragon thing here, and then it's going to make it in there. Whereas if I had both hybrid dragon and goblin here, it will still only have one main take, so it'll just keep overwriting stuff you don't want that, right? So you have to basically keep your sequences in different folders, and you're fine after that point. So I only actually realized that today when Julien showed me, and I thought it was really cool. So yeah, and that let's have a look if Julien has sent me a link here, so I'll grab this.
Yeah, and put it in the chat.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. He's trying to post it, but I think it's blocking him.
So I guess we are pretty much done now.
We are.
Yeah, I don't know if Julien wants to jump in still and say hello and goodbye. Hello and goodbye, because I don't think we've got. I'm not sure we've got enough. Do we have any questions left that we could ask?
Yeah,
Julien?
if there's any questions out there in the chat, and yeah, we can definitely chat with them too. Let's see. Oh, so here's a question we got. It is Sebastian. The only way to get those renders is with Blender open, or is it possible with command line?
Hey, Julien. Hello. So to anyone still watching, here's Julien, the man who made the add-on. Hey, Julien.
Hello.
Hello. Thank you so much for the add-on, Julien.
So to
it's
anyone
amazing.
watching, here's Julien.
There's
some weird sound. So just say hello from far.
Hello. Thank you so much. I've got an echo.
We're at a standstill.
I think we're okay. I think I'm all right now. I had a major echo going on, and I was actually hearing the stream.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a question there. It's probably pretty good for you to answer, actually, Julien.
Yeah. So, what is the?
I think the question is the only way to get those renders with Blender open, or is it possible with command line? So I guess he's asking maybe like if you had a scene with a full camera taken and you wanted to use Shot Manager to export it. Oh, Julian's gone.
Yeah, I think he was having an echoing, the echoing thing.
Okay, hopefully they'll come back.
Yeah.
Because I have no idea about that question. So
yeah. Thank you for the invite. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see. All right, so Julien will be in the chat.
Where's he talking to then?
The question, Julien, is the only way to get those renders is with Blender open, or is it possible to use the command line for rendering?
Yeah, I think he's asking like, is the render suite you've got, like the shot stamp render suite options, are they accessible via command line?
So he says,
Sebastian, do you have any more context that you can help with the question, perhaps? Because
yeah, so he says, so yes, at the moment, the only way is from the UI. Okay. Any more questions? Please put them in the chat.
I like this one from Jean-Claude. The workflow. I got to do this.
I got to do this.
He likes it. Let's get some love for Julien here. He's probably seen this comment.
So cool, and it is so cool. It's a feat to solve so many problems.
It's insane.
All in one place. You know what I mean? Like from the camera movements to the buttons that allow you to move the camera in place. And I thought the storyboard, like linking the storyboard to the shot and then separating it, it's an amazing feature.
Yeah, the actual detach thing is kind of like, it was inspired by, I would say, the Unreal. There's a storyboarding thing for Unreal now, which is, again, I'm really excited about that as well. But that's kind of like basically the way that works. I was demoing, right, where you've got the option to create a grease pencil in front of the camera that's attached to the camera, but then if you want to, you can detach. That's kind of how the Unreal one works initially. Anyway, you can kind of do all sorts, right? You can move that stuff around as well. But yeah, I think it's just an intuitive thing, right? It's like sometimes it really works to have the thing attached to the camera, like you're flying things about. It's nice. Or if you got a really static shot, say if you just got a close up and there's no camera movement, why do you need to go to the bother of like making the grease pencil in space? It's kind of a waste of time really, unless you've already got it in space. So just making a thing and then drawing a close up, that makes sense. Something flying makes sense, but then it's when you want to move the camera independently from the grease pencil, you have to detach, and then you have to you know, toggle the view off and on at the end of the shot, right? So just keep that needs to be kept in mind. I was going to bring up one of those bots then, but I better not. Yeah, okay, cool. Well, so very interesting love from India, so that's nice. This is very interesting. Solves so many of the organizational issues of the camera switching workflow. Yes, it does. That's why I was so enamored with it when Julien showed it to me to begin with, you know, because yeah, man, I really want to love VSE, and it looks like it is working a lot better now. And Story Pencil also looks like it's nice. It really is hard to integrate Storyboard into the VSE now in a really smooth way. So I'm excited to see where that goes. But before, you know, that hasn't, I mean, still not fully fleshed out. It doesn't look like, I haven't seen it like super fully demoed. I'm hoping it's going to be a BlenderCon 2022 now. But yeah, man, I think this is like, it's the natural evolution from using the camera markers initially, but then it just does away with all of the limitations of that, and it just expands on it in such a fluid and feature-rich way, I think. So,
nice. And it's free, right? Like,
yeah, free.
Download it right now.
It's insane how and
Julien,
stuff. I do want to say as well, Julien, thanks for being so responsive and kind of open to feedback and to working so hard on the add-on, and you know, constantly fixing bugs and you know, incorporating my awkward requests and things like that, you know, as well. Because I you know, like I said, I'm using the add-on in ways that it wasn't necessarily designed to be worked in, but Julien is, you know, like when I've said, this is how I'm working with it, he's like, oh, I didn't design it like that, but he always made like exceptions and little tweaks and things so that idiosyncratic way of working is actually viable. So I really appreciate that, man. But with that, I think, you know, no more questions. So thanks, Julien. Thanks everyone for coming. Thanks so much, Grease Monkey, for helping me out with the stream. Really, really grateful for that. And yeah, hope everyone goes and grabs the add-on and starts, you know, making shots and stuff.
Get it.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.